Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas with you, still with Alta Marshall, Cindy Bracken, and now we are joined by Bev Kuman. Good morning, Bev.
Hi, good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. We are very excited about the 9/11 Memorial Quilt Project. Tell us a little bit about how you became involved with it.
Well, I had donated a quilt block, and I followed, the information and found out they were showing in Seattle, Washington, in 2004, and I went and saw it, and I just fell in love with it. And I felt it was something that everybody needs to see, and I am, I just am trying, I guess, to do what Amy started out. She wanted to make sure everybody saw the quilts, and that's what I think I'm following through doing.
Tell us about Amy. She, I understand, was the person who got this idea in the first place. Tell us a little bit about her.
Yes, she was a 911 dispatcher in Prescott, Arizona, and she thought, this is the only thing I know how to do is sew, and she wanted to do something for the victims. And so she decided to put out the word on the internet to get 12.5-inch square blocks and red, white, and blue pattern and a star design so that every victim would have a star.
So all the victims, and there are like 2,000 victims.
2,977.
And every one of them has their name memorialized on one of the blocks?
Yes.
Tell me what that was like to see that for the very first time.
It was just breathtaking. I mean, you know, the work that went into it, the people that donated, there was 20,000 blocks donated from 30 countries.
We were just talking about that before the break. How amazing that it affected people from other countries that they wanted to donate as well. How did that affect you? Just thinking about that.
Just that's the day the world came together.
Yeah.
You know, everybody came together to support us in our tragic loss that day.
When you think about that day and this day, today, and you think of where the world is right now, and even where our country is right now, why are things like this so important?
So that we don't forget, you know, the things that have happened. It's history.
How long did it take her to do this? Do you know?
It started right after 9/11. She passed away in 2002 before it was finished. Brian Kohler took it over then, and he finished it by 2004. And that's when he had his first show.
So, love that. Again, we're busting myths that quilting is just for the ladies. There is a gentleman in the Valley Quilt Guild, and now we find out that a gentleman is the one who finished this project as well.
Yes.
And now you are taking it to all around the country? What are you doing with this?
I'm trying to take it out on tour. We had gotten a corporate sponsor, so now we're able to travel a little more. And I guess that's the goal, is try to get it out there so that everybody can see it.
When you look at this now that you're closer to it, kind of living with it, do you have portions of it that still are just really moving for you? Are there parts of it that mean more meaningful to you?
Well, I would say every time you see it, you can spot something else that caught your eye. Yes.
What has caught your eye?
Just different blocks, different names, and when I meet people that look for a name, their stories about that person, it just kind of changes your little perspective of how you see things.
Yes, when you think about it, that each one of those blocks with the names, that's a person. That's a person with a history and with a story, and everybody's got one.
Yes.
I understand a book comes along with this?
No.
Okay.
I just have the database.
Oh, okay. I thought there was like a book of names.
Yes, so that people can find them.
So they can find the name that they're looking for?
Yes, we set it up in a numerical order. That way everybody's able to give me a name. I can point them in the right direction and walk them right to the quilt block so that they don't have to search.
Now, when you were talking about all the victims that are represented, we tend to think Twin Towers, but does this also include the Pentagon and also from the flight that went down in Shanksville?
It's actually, the first name it started out with was World Trade Center, Pentagon, and Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of shortened it up.
Well, right, because September 11th was all of those things. We tend to focus maybe on those Twin Towers, but my goodness, people lost people.
In both places,
That's
yes.
right, all three. That's right.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you, Bev, to be involved with this?
Just that I'm able to take it on the road and, show everyone. I've had really, really good response from people that thank me for bringing it to town. They appreciate all the work or effort we've done to try to get it out there.
I'm curious as far as that response. We're looking now at college-age students who have no memory of it because it's that long ago, which is unbelievable, very hard for any of us who were. We all know where we were when we heard that was happening.
Yes.
Tell me about how young people are receiving this.
I would say it all depends on who's explaining it. I've had a lady that was a teacher explaining it to her young children, and they had tears. So they understood what she was telling them.
When we go this weekend, and let's repeat, everyone, it is this coming up weekend, June 21st, 22nd from noon to 8, and then Sunday, June 23rd from noon to 5 at Dover Middle School, just a free will offering to go ahead and get to see this magnificent display. What will happen when we go? Is this a tour that we just take on our own and kind of just absorb it on our own? Will there be any talking, any explanation given?
Oh, I always show them how they look at the quilts, what they will see, and I try to answer any questions that they may have. A lot of people come up with different questions from time to time. But yes, we fill them in, explain what they'll see, how they look at the quilt, the names.
Aside from the names, which is a very important part of this, is there anything else that we should be looking for?
The name and age of the victim is always on the quilt.
Just the logistics of collecting all that information is mind-boggling, isn't it?
It is, and I wasn't in the beginning of any of this, so they did very, very good job at gathering all the information.
Have you found your block? I need to know.
Yes. Yes.
Was it tough? Was it hard to find? I mean, that's a lot of quilting blocks.
Yeah, no, because when I reached out to Brian in Seattle, he knew I was coming, and he pointed me right to where my block was. And we actually had a lady in Traverse City, Michigan, that just happened to walk up, see Traverse City on a block, and it was her great niece that made it when she was in 7th grade.
I'm swinging back to the 30 countries that have participated and sent in blocks as well. Couldn't have done this really in 2001 because I don't think too many of us were that savvy with the internet at that point. It came a little bit after that. But to think that the world was connected soon after that. What countries were so moved that they decided to participate? Do you know offhand where some of these quilts came from or some of these blocks came from?
All I can say is the different ones I've seen, and I know there's many. They say there was many from Japan, many from the Netherlands, from everywhere. So
Why do you think?
I don't know.
I know we can only guess, huh?
Yeah.
It's it's just an amazing thing. For people who are just tuning in, we've got some gals from the Valley Quilt Guild here, Alta Marshall and Cindy Bracken, and they made contact with Bev. How did your all's paths cross?
A friend of mine went down to Southern Ohio to see the quilt show last summer and told me about it. And so I decided, wow, we want to bring it to town.
What's involved? I mean, Bev, you need to, I mean, this sounds like, and then we wanted to bring it to town. Those things don't just happen. There's a lot of work behind these kinds of things. How do you put this together and bring it from place to place?
Well, I have a trailer that I haul it in, and I have quilt racks that we got our corporate sponsor got for us, and so all we do is load them up and move them out.
Manpower for displaying them with 300 quilts. Ladies, how are we going to do this at Dover Middle School?
Well, we have a committee of 5 that we've been working on this probably for 8 months now, and we have a group that does the advertising. We had people that were concerned about the insurance, and I mean, the group just really worked well together, and we've worked very hard at trying to get people in this area to come and see it.
Dover's got a really good football team. Any chance that they're going to help carry some of these in?
That would
from
be nice.
the
That would be nice. And
Yep.
also, outside of the school building, we're going to have Flags of Freedom are going to be displaying hundreds of flags, so it'll be a really nice entryway, get people in the mood for seeing more quilts and being patriotic and being proud of being an American.
Absolutely, and how nice that this is happening, like really leading into 4th of July and as we celebrate again. Bev, are you busy all year? Or you just go from one place to the other? How in the world do you do this?
Well, this is my first 7-week run was through Illinois, St. Louis, Wisconsin, and Traverse City, Michigan, and Escanaba, Michigan. Yeah.
Okay, and now you're coming to Ohio, and then what do you have in the future?
Well, I have scheduled North Carolina in August, Grand Rapids in August, during the Paducah Quilt Show.
It just seems like this is keeping you quite busy. So it's become a full-time job, yes?
Yes. I thought I was retired.
Oh, there's a lot of retirees who say that. It's so funny how something comes along, a passion comes along, and you just think, okay, this is what I've been prepared for.
Yeah.
How do you store them? How do you keep them clean and so forth as you're taking them from place to place? These are irreplaceable.
Right. Well, we wear gloves when we handle them and try to, do our best. So far, we haven't had to do any laundering.
Wow. So far, nothing's dropped,
Right,
I hope.
right.
Okay. Wow. Well, the whole thing sounds incredible. And this is the 9/11 Memorial Quilt Project coming to Dover Middle School this weekend, June 21st and 22nd from noon to 8, and then Sunday the 23rd from noon to 5. What a perfect thing to stop by and see. How long does it take, Bev? How much time should we devote to walking through and looking at all 300 of these?
It all depends. Some people take maybe a half hour, and other people might take an hour, hour and a half. Some go to lunch and come back. So
You might want to devote some time to it. Yeah, I'm wondering if you come the first day and think, oh, I think I need to see that again while we've got the chance.
sure.
It just is going to be amazing again at Dover Middle School. Is there, I'll throw this out to Alta and Cindy, is there a website or something where we can find out more about the Valley Quilt Guild?
We have a website, valleyquiltguild.org.
Okay, easy enough. Well, really looking forward to this. Can't thank you all enough. Alta, Cindy, Bev, thank you so much for bringing this to our community.
All right.
Well, thank you for
Glad to be
inviting
able
people.
to.